Hey everybody, I'm Casey, the Space Shaman.
The
Here with me.
Space Shaman!
Here with me are my friends Tony and Mary.
Hi, how you doing?
Pineapple.
Everyone.
How y'all doing?
Yeah, what's going on? Let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know if you want some healing. Just let us know what's up. We're going to hang out. So grab your cup of tea. Grab your honey water, in my case.
Yeah, honey water. I have regular water today.
Yeah.
I had tea a little bit ago.
Whatever liquid you prefer, just grab it, sit back, enjoy.
Better watch out for the Twitch comments.
Right.
We're on Twitch, guys. So welcome, Twitch peoples. Welcome
Twitch
everybody,
people.
wherever you're watching.
Yeah, from wherever it might be.
We're just gonna hang out. We're gonna talk. We're gonna do some breath work. So Tony and Mary were just at a Van Gogh exhibit, I guess that's in Cleveland right now. So
Yeah.
I want to hear what was that like? I'm curious.
Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. They basically just take this old warehouse and turn it into one giant room, and the Van Gogh paintings become alive, and you can like sit on the floor or sit on benches, and the floor becomes alive and the walls become alive with his art, and they put it to this music, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, there's this huge series of projectors and different kinds of lights and everything that create all this happening. So just even watching, like not even watching the exhibit so much, I was watching that, and I was also watching all the technology and amazement.
Yeah.
Like, wow, look at, you can create like a whole fake reality if you wanted to. So it's pretty intense. So it was super intense. The sound was really intense, the feeling of the room. So it became very meditative. We both found each other kind of in that daze, that the void in between awake and asleep, because you're just immersed in it. There's times where I closed my eyes and just the sound and the feel of the room was amazing. There was, we stayed, and so we watched it. It lasts probably like what, 20 minutes, 25 minutes?
Yeah.
So we stayed and we watched it 3 times because I wanted to see this one part 3 times. So the first time it happened, this sunshine pops up and this woman starts belting out these beautiful vocals in French. I have no idea what the hell she's saying, but boy, did it touch me in some way. And then you watch and the sun's moving. This room's huge. It's probably 50 feet long and probably 30 feet wide. So it's a big, big room. And there's a bunch. So what the projectors actually make little circles on the ground for COVID, 6 feet apart. So these little projectors, so you make a little circle and you can like stand there. It's like you're gonna get beamed up into a UFO or something. It's pretty intense. But that watch the sun go around, and then you watch it, and then like it starts to set, and then like all the other scenery, which are paintings, Van Gogh paintings, they start to turn purple like a summer sunset. And just watching it and the vocals and the feeling and watch it go down, I popped. It made me cry, man. I opened right up. Like, oh. Awesome. So I'm gonna stay and watch it 2 more times.
So I can imagine this dude, because like I don't know if I don't know a whole lot about Van Gogh and like his history and all that stuff.
Neither.
But could you imagine just telling him back then, coming from like the future and being like, "Hey, dude, someday there's gonna be this crazy psychedelic thing you can't even imagine right now, and it's just your artwork. These paintings that you're sitting there having fun painting are gonna turn into this little psychedelic experience."
Let me just tell you something. If you were on psychedelics when you went to this thing, it would be far out. It's perfect for that.
Yeah, because he was alive in 1800s, 1853 to 1890. He's a Dutch post-impressionist painter.
Is he the one that cut his ear off and gave it to us?
No, that's someone else. That's who is that? Maybe it was Van Gogh. Was it Van Gogh? Let's see. I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Go ahead. I'll find out.
I'm sure his, that's the thing, is because we're all eternal beings, and so unless he's still in the
It was Vincent Van Gogh. He cut off his left ear when tempers flared with Paul Gogh, the artist with whom he had been working for a while in Arles. Van Gogh's illness revealed itself. He began to hallucinate and suffered attacks in which he lost consciousness. So he had some sort of disease, I guess. I wonder what that was.
See, the story I heard when I was younger is that he just drank a lot of absinthe and stuff, and then that kind of.
Well, that's probably possible. I mean, there's been lots of stories about that, like altering the mind.
Yeah. There's
I don't know. My ear off.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Can you hear me now? Can you? Early in the morning.
All right. Everybody, who wants to do a round of breathing real quick? I want to do a round of breathing.
I do.
Count me in.
All right. So I'm going to guide us through. Let's start with the breath of 7 angels today. I love the breath of 7 angels. So For those who aren't familiar, Breath of Seven Angels is an inhale would split up into 7 parts. So it's all through the nose, but it's 7 little sniffs until you get to the top of your breath, just like Tony's doing. These 7 little sniffs in, kind of an ocean breath out. So if you're new to it, it can take a little bit of getting used to kind of get the timing right so that the breaths are kind of even as you go up. But don't worry about that. Don't even worry if you're getting the correct number of 7 breaths in the beginning. You're just training your nervous system to do something totally new that you've never done before. So just breathe. Just focus on breathing and being here. And more important than sitting there counting the 7 in your breaths, just listen to us and follow along and just do what feels good. We're going to breathe like that. What's that?
Follow the rhythm.
Follow the rhythm, man. Just be present for the rhythm of the breath.
Yeah, be present for the rhythm of the breath, okay?
Yeah, man. So just follow along, and then we're going to do some breath holds at the end, but I'll tell you when to do those things. You don't have to remember anything right now. We're going to start out, so whoever's ready, let's enjoy this breathwork session. Make sure you're not standing, driving a vehicle, or in any position where it would be dangerous for you to get dizzy and fall over, because that is a possibility for people who are new to breathwork. If Tony fell over, if he fell over, he would just fall into Mary's shoulder.
Tony's shoulder.
And then if I fell back, I'm just going to lean back in the chair.
Nice.
So I'm pretty safe here. So, all right.
It's happened before.
Yeah, it has. I've passed out on live stream.
The highlight reel, by the way.
Yeah, I actually there were a couple of live streams where I started out and it was like the first round of breathing, and I go to do the breathing and I straight up just zonked out, and then I actually deleted the video off my channel. I was like, oh no.
That was the viral video, guy.
I know, right? At the time, I was like, I don't want to scare people away from breathwork, man.
Shaman shits his pants. Well,
I came back. I didn't know where I was. I'm like, oh wait, there's a screen in front of me. Oh, people are watching me.
A few times I never totally went out, but there's been times I came back like, oh, I'm on live stream.
Yeah.
So just know these kinds of intense experiences are possible, but don't be afraid of them. You know, if you disappear into the void for a bit, you disappear into the void for a bit. You come back full of peace, love, and joy. So let's breathe. Starting Breath of Seven Angels in 3, 2, 1. Three more. 2, 1. Deep breath fully in and hold at the top. Exhale to a neutral lung and just hold the breath for as long as is comfortable. Deep breath fully in. A little more air, a little more. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck, and hold. Slowly exhale, relaxing every muscle in your body and feeling the shift in the way that your body feels, the spaciousness in your mind, warmth, coolness, tingling, whatever sensations happen to be present, just feel them fully for whatever they are. Be present, feel your body. Don't run away from it, feel it. Your body loves attention. Just giving it attention, just placing your attention in your body is very nurturing and healing for the body. And if you want to, let us know how you're feeling after just that short minute or two of breath work before and after.
Well, I'll tell you how I'm feeling. I'm feeling pretty good. That felt pretty good. I just got done and just had a little workout. So it feels good, oxygenating, relaxing a little bit. Feels nice.
Yeah, I've been I've been hiking, but in terms of my actual working out game, I've been slacking a little bit.
Hey, man, you got to get back on the game, man. That's A1. That's what keeps your vibration, man.
I do.
Vibration.
It's so easy too, because like I just pop down, work out like 50 push-ups, some crunches, and stuff like that. But I just get real excited and passionate about things, and it's like I just forget about the whole world and everything.
You forget how you got here. Do you see? That's
yeah.
Forget how you got here.
Yeah.
So these are all intricacies within our lives that we need. That's what builds us to become what we are. And if we start falling off from the practices that got us here, you'll notice it in a short period of time. Pretty quickly. It might not be a day or two, but a week passes and you've gotten out of your game, out of your spiritual practice game, right away. And so you start showing up.
It's funny because I had I just really want to quick pull this up. Cheyenne's here saying, "Hi, friends." Hey, Cheyenne.
Hey,
Cheyenne.
So So it was funny because for so many years when I was suffering, and I don't suffer from nearly as much anxiety as I used to. But back in the day when I had a lot of anxiety and things like this, my parents telling me this, so many people say, exercise, if you exercise, you're going to feel better. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Hey, Casey, are you ready to destroy and uncreate the idea of anxiety from your reality?
Sure.
Look at that. See, there's a question. So you can ask yourself, am I ready to do that? You can do that. And guess what? You don't have to talk about it ever again. You'll be like, hey, I used to have anxiety.
Well, it's fun for other people to hear these things. It's fun to talk.
Yeah, it sure is.
So anyway, but it was funny because people would tell me for the longest time, hey, just exercise, you feel better. And I was like, yeah, I know. And then I started hiking. So it was when I started hiking a few years ago and I would do these endurance hikes. So, I'd go for like 5-6 hours and do like 10 plus miles. But I remember the feeling of coming back after that hike, sitting down, being like physically exhausted. I'm like, this is like way better than any kind of plant or medicine I could take for anxiety. I just feel so good.
That's one fantastic way to exercise. There's many. You don't have to go on a marathon all the time. We can all do. Everybody needs to do just a little bit, just any sort of movement, even if it's getting into just stretching, just moving the body at all. Qigong is fantastic. These are fantastic. There's so many beautiful modalities that revolve around moving the body. Yoga, those things are all parts of martial arts. That's what all those things are at their depth, really, is consciousness training. Because you train your body from the outside and then you train your consciousness from the inside, the stillness. So it's two different ways. And if you train in both directions, you become fully powerful as one thing. Because it can happen. I see it happen to people. I work with people a lot that are very much into a very much deep spiritual practice, but they're disconnected from their physicality. And so they suffer. And then I see the other way, connected to their physicality and do no sort of mindset, consciousness, or spiritual practice, and they're disconnected from their spirit. So it's like it's a balance, it's a teeter-totter, and it is hard to make. It's hard to be an entrepreneur, try to create content, try to change the world, and do all these things, and maintain your self-care. But for me, I've already been through this kind of thing. So for me, I'm already aware that my self-care is A1. If I start cutting off my self-care in the name of progress, I'm going to fall on my face. It's happened too many times.
Well, like you always say, the physical body, that's the instrument through which we experience this reality, the nervous system. So if this instrument is out of tune, then you're not going to be able to perform well in any aspect of your life.
not as good as you can. You might as well do the best you can. So try to work all aspects. It's good to work all aspects. And don't think that. So here, this comes to here. This is the first thing we try to get people to do is breathe, because breathing is a couple different things. You're training your physical body at every level, on the whole physiological level, whole cascade of physiological effects that's happening. 2, you're training yourself in a psychological, mental aspect. And 3, you're training yourself in a spiritual aspect. It's all 3 aspects put together in one exercise. And that's what makes breathing so effective, because most people have no idea really what breathing is until they get into it, because to them, it's just breathing. Until you really start using it, you start using the body like, man, I feel good. I'm not getting sick. My mind's clear. And then you start taking in more because that's really what a lot of people are confused. Like, what is spiritual sensitivity? What is energy sensitivity? Well, actually, it's being aware and having a full feeling for your entire environment, not just what's happening in the head or right in front of you. It's a feeling. You can feel the walls. You can feel the ceiling, feel the floor. I can feel you. It's all there if you open up to it.
And the thing is, people are, everyone's energy sensitive because everyone can feel their body, which is energy.
Yeah.
But even some people spend so much time up in their heads, they never even feel their body.
Yeah.
We can feel the sensation, like you said, we can feel the sensations in our body. And then many people, they don't consciously recognize it as this, but, we feel an aliveness, a tingling, warmth, these flowing sensations throughout the body. But a lot of people are just like, oh, that's just bodily sensations or whatever. But it's when you start to increase your awareness, at a certain point you realize, what I'm able to feel, sense, experience doesn't end at my skin. It's the whole entirety of my environment is me, and I can feel all of that. That's when people really start to
and as we continue to awaken, as we continue to remember who we are, and we continue, as I continue to awaken, as you continue to further awaken, what happens is we come more and more in touch with that nervous system that permeates all things, the quantum field, the one living energy. We actually start becoming and feeling it. The more I go into this journey, the more you go into this journey, what's happened? More and more, you've become more and more sensitive to all things that you are.
So I have a question for you guys, and this branches out in a different question as well. So when you first started to get into breathwork, was when you say you found the YouTube video. I think you said it was Troy Casey. It was the first time you tried breathwork.
It was Troy Casey. It popped up. I was looking for DMT breathing.
So when you found that, was it immediately like you did your first breathwork session? You're like, oh, I'm doing this all the time. This is a part of my daily life. Or did it take a few, watching a few videos, trying it a few times, and then did it slowly kind of creep into your life? Or was it just right off the bat, you're into it full time?
I pretty much hit the ground running. It's because I was convinced. I could sense his energy. I knew he was telling me the truth when I saw this guy sitting on a beach. And how I found him was through, I was researching psychedelics. I was researching DMT. And then I came across, through literature, I read that you can create your own DMT. You can have access to your own DMT. I'm like, oh, no shit, really? And I started reading the Tibetan monks and all kinds of other spiritual practices around the world, people saying they can do it, which made sense to me. And then I found this guy, Troy Casey, and he seemed totally insane to me. And I totally believe him.
Still seems insane to me.
He is. Yeah. I totally believe this guy. This guy plops down. He looks like Tarzan, he's like a 50-year-old surfer dude with a big beard. And he sits down. He's all hyper, and he starts telling me about breathing. He's ripped. He's 55 years old. I'm like, no shit. So he starts breathing, and he's showing me this breathing. He's sucking in his stomach and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And so I'm like, shit, I'm going to try it. And I remember when I first tried, I'm like, well, I would never do this in public because this feels weird. It's weird. It looks like I'm having a seizure. And I remember when I first started doing breath work, that's how I felt. I felt kind of shy or embarrassed to talk about it because the conditioned mind's like, well, that's weird, man. No, nobody does.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? And now I'll go anywhere. I'll sit, obviously.
We're in front of potentially thousands of people.
Yeah, I don't mind. I want to share. Because I hope that I could hear, because that one video, that's one thing that added to. It started one trickle of a ripple that changed my entire reality.
Yeah.
That's not the only thing that happened, but it's one of the key ingredients that happened. Because he's even this same guy, for people that don't know, this is how me and Casey met. Mm-hmm. We met from this same guy that I randomly watched a Facebook live stream on one morning. I never really watched live streams on Facebook. Or anything, and this guy pops up, and here he is. Here's this guy sitting here, and he's doing for Casey.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
So for my part of the story, I had my YouTube channel for maybe a few months, and I was looking into what, kind of researching things, looking into ways to grow my channel, reach more people, that kind of thing. And so I saw a big mistake that a lot of new YouTubers make is not collaborating with other YouTubers. Collaborating with other YouTubers is a big way to, it's not like a competition thing where, I'm trying to hold on to all the subscribers. It's like we grow together by helping to promote each other.
Right.
And so I just reached out. I was looking kind of just, people who are into breathwork, spirituality, shamanic healing, all this stuff. And so there are a few channels that I was kind of aware of. So I sent messages, emails, and Facebook messages. And the only one that replied to the people that I messaged to was Troy Casey. And I woke up in the morning. It was like 7 a.m. or something like that. And he's so I got this message from him overnight. And he was, I think he sent it like an hour before I woke up or something. And it said, "Hey, do you want to go on a Facebook live stream with me right now?" And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So sign me up. So I talked to him on the phone. And he's like, "All right, well, we're going to set it up. I'll get you on. Just, make sure your lighting looks good. You get your camera set up, all stable, everything, and I'll have you on." And so I hop on, and I was just doing some healing for him. He had like some back pain. So I was able to reduce his back pain quite a bit. But at the beginning of his streams, he asked people, "Hey, everybody, comment and let me know where you're watching from." So I'm sitting here on the stream watching all these people messaging and saying where they are. And then Tony, I see his message come up saying, "We're from Westlake, Ohio." I'm like, "Dude, I'm in Rocky River. I'm like right next door." Yeah, and so I did this live stream and ended. And then I don't know, did you reach out to me or did I think you reached out to me?
I can't remember. I'm not sure. But all I know is it wasn't long after that. You were over my house. We were doing breath work, hanging out, jumping in the cold tub, all kinds of cool stuff. And it was intense. So even the first time Casey showed up, as soon as he came in my house, I could sense, I could feel. This is really before him showing up as part of what caused my opening further of my energy sensitivity. I was already energy sensitive, but not to where I am at this point. And so when Casey came in, I could sense, I could feel right away. And even Mary's like, I feel something. That feels weird.
Yeah.
So it was really an experience.
I remember I had you guys within, I don't know if it was the first or second time we hung out, but I was like, "You guys ever actually just play with energy?" You're like, "Well, we feel energy all the time."
That was,
and I was like,
"Was it?"
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm talking about like energy manipulation. Like, you ever toss an energy ball back and forth? And you're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, watch this." I'm like, so I showed them how to make an energy ball. And then I was like, "We can play catch with this." So we're sitting in this studio that you guys see them in right now. We're sitting in a circle and we're tossing an energy ball back and forth and like catching it. And then I'm having him hold it. I'm looking at it. And I'm like, "Okay, so you see how it's like blue right now? And I want you to try and change the color." And then I'm like, "Okay, now it's green." He's like, "Yeah, how did you know that?" And I'm like, "Well, I can see it, And so I can see all these little things clicking in Tony's head as he's experiencing this.
Yeah. So, so in our tradition, before I was in that tradition, but what was happening is a karpai or an initiation. Yeah. And for me and Casey, this happens a lot. So between each other, since we've known each other in a short span of time, we've both downloaded information to one another that's made drastic changes in our current reality. But it brought us to higher levels of concentrated light and things like that. Like, so all kinds of things. It bounces off each other back and forth. It's like, I knew it though, right when he showed up. I said to him, I was like, "I can see something. I can tell we're meant to heal each other." Mm-hmm. So we're to a point now where you don't even really got to try. We don't have like a psychological, like, "Hey, I'm going to create." Sometimes we do, but for most of the things that are happening between us now happen. We're not even when we're knowing. I'll know later. I'll see, "Oh, that's what happened." I'll feel some change. I'm like, and I'll ask Spirit, "Show me what happened." Like what happened the other day with Odin. And I asked Odin, how did this happen? Odin, how did this come to be? And then he showed me. He showed me like, oh, I see. Some things out of the ordinary happened. We walked down towards the water. We called in the Suya Nusta. We didn't even know we were really doing it. We were kind of joking when we did it, but we did it. We vocalized it into the world. It created. And then from there, which I don't usually do, I came in and I opened up 4 directions. I called in sacred space. I opened sacred space and we went in the water. And when we went in the water, I intuitively opened my bubble. And as soon as I opened my bubble, I could feel her. I could feel him. And then I didn't really know anything else till later on when I got back. I knew something happened, but I didn't know what happened. And then when I got back, I had like a little meditation time. And while I was meditating, that's when Odin showed up. He showed up right in my face. I was like, whoa. And I could reach out, I could touch his face and his beard. And then over his shoulders came Freya and Thor. And they started right away giving me downloads. And the weirdest thing is my ego reacted. My ego was like, oh, don't let these Norse gods in. Don't do that. You don't want that to happen. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I'm like, come on. And then they come in, and that part of my ego, I could feel it. So as soon as I opened myself to allow this energy in, boom, that part of my ego died. Went pew, it was gone. Just shot right out of my head. The whole idea of having danger or thinking these spirits were evil in some way or whatever the conditioning was. Soon as I opened myself, soon as I said, yeah, that's not it, boom, it let go and it took off.
Yeah, that's the amazing. You know, people ask sometimes, you know, how do I start? You know, we tell people, we talk about a lot of things, and you know that it's possible to change your reality, to change your mindset, all of these things. Well, how do I do that? Like Tony said, just bringing in the light of awareness, recognizing when those thoughts come in from the ego, like, hey, this isn't real. This is just my mind, some old record playing for some reason. As soon as you bring the light of awareness and say, no, I'm not buying into that, I'm not letting you pull me down that way, you take away its power and you start to form a new neural pathway. And that's really powerful. So that's something we can, and you know, it doesn't have to be like, wow, the Norse gods showed up and like react.
That's not always how it happens. That was just like a peak event. Like I was talking to Mary today, even when we were at Van Gogh, I could feel healing happening. When I cried, when that sun went down, I could feel it was some imprint from my childhood left me. Like walked out the door on me. So it's like I have spontaneous healing happening all the time. This has been happening to me for a couple years. So it's not really out of the ordinary. It's just now, since I'm more sensitive and I have awareness and I can see and consciously understand, I can feel the change happen. I'm like, oh, what happened? And I'll watch. And I'm like, oh, I see what's happened. I've purged something that I didn't need anymore. And like my mind's been doing this for like the last several months. It keeps like releasing ideas of my past that hold me back, that hold me in a box, like seeing things like putting me in a disadvantageous or a disempowered position. So what's happening is I'm seeing the empowered parts of the things that happen, and kind of the disempowering thinking is moved away. And as that continues, I feel better and better and better, and I become better and better and better at everything I try to do, try to help other people. It's a beautiful thing. The whole thing is all interconnected, and I love it.
Yeah, it's fun too, because you know we're none of us are perfect and like totally free of the thinking mind or anything,
which is like perfect that. Also,
yeah, it is.
It's both. That's infinity. It's perfect. Yeah, it's imperfect. It's both. What is it? What is it really? To me, how I say it in my mind is we're all perfect in every way. You're meant to go through the things you're meant to go through. However you feel is okay right now. However you feel right now in this minute is totally okay. There's no reason that you should think anything else. But you have a decision not to stay there. You're supposed to feel like shit sometimes. You just don't stay there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what I was going to say anymore.
Oof. Maybe I blew it away. My bad. I have a habit of doing that.
Poof the magic dragon. Poof the
it
magic
showed
dragon.
Up again. That dragon.
All right. So on that note, let's do another round of breathing. Anybody else want to guide us, or you want me to do it? What do you want to do? Mary?
Mary, you want me to?
Yeah, I'd love for you to.
Do you guys want to do fire breathing, or do you want to do slower?
I'll do whatever you want to do. Okay. What comes to you?
Right.
I will talk to you. Okay, let's go.
Fire breathing.
I'd love to do some fire breathing.
Do you have any parameters? Do you know how you want to do it, or?
No, I'm just gonna go with it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So everybody just follow Mary.
Yeah, so everybody just follow me.
Later.
I just want anyone who's not familiar with fire breath, you just want to focus on your navel. So you can place your hands on your navel. And when you're breathing in and out through your nose, you want to pump that navel.
For Cheyenne, the navel is the belly button, because she didn't know that.
Belly button. The belly button. All right. And then I'll walk us through it, and we'll do some holds. All right. So let's start. Everybody can do it at your own pace. You just want to challenge yourself. You know, you can go slower than we are, but you can make sure that you're challenging yourself. All right, let's go. You can turn your head from side to side like Tony is. It clears out your sinus passages.
Opens up your lymph channels.
The lymph channels.
Really focus on the abdominal wall, expanding and contracting. It should be kind of like an exercise. It should burn a little. You should have some fatigue happening in the intercostals. You want that. This strengthens you up.
You can tell by my cheeks the temperature of my body's changing from this breath work.
You're a little pink. I feel my
If you get too
intercostals.
sore, that's okay. Don't stop. Just slow down to a slower pace, a more comfortable space. Big inhale. More. Hold. Release to a neutral breath. And just hold. Let's do another round. Let's get back into that fire breath. This time I want you to let out all your air. Let it all out. Keep it all out. Push it out. You'll be amazed by how much you can release. You suck your belly in. You can vacuum. Suck it up and in. Hold. And then big inhale in. More. And hold. And just squeeze lightly in your head as if you were trying to make your face red. A 3 out of a 10. Squeeze a little bit tighter. A little bit tighter. And release.
La, 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 la.
That was great. Amazing.
Amazing. Hey, we got some comments, Chase. What we got going there?
Yeah, so Jennifer, fellow sister on the path, and fellow Paco. Jennifer saying, hello, friends. And then hello Zacharias, or Kelly Zacharias. I don't know.
Hi, Kelly Zacharias, if you're tagged there.
And that was probably tagged. That's
Cheyenne said,
saying,
come out, spaceman.
I called her out on the belly button thing. I had to give you some shit for that.
Yeah, well, everybody's perfect, by the way.
Juicy. Rock on hands.
Hey, that's what you were talking about before. You were saying nobody's perfect. And I was like, well, it depends how you want to look at it.
That's a turn of phrase. Phrase.
I don't know what you were going to say about it, but that's what I remember. Because remember, I got you lost. I made Puff show up, and poof. I made Poof the Magic Dragon show up. But that's what you were starting to say, was everybody's imperfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's imperfect.
I don't even remember what we were talking about back then, man. That was before the blast off. That was before space.
There was something else that happened at the beginning of the blast off that I had something I was going to tell you, but I forgot what it is now. Now that came back. So I'm guessing at the end of the next breath round, I'll show up in the right place, the right time. That's one of the side effects to being the quantum shaman. I kind of zip in and out of different time slots. So
yeah, being the space shaman, I disappear into outer space sometimes. And then I come back. So that's the thing. So the space shaman, for those of you who are new to the new name or new to the channel, what I'm referring to is, because I know there's like a big outer space thing and like the logos, the planet.
Yeah, but that's outer
space. So what I'm talking about, the reason I chose that name is that all of my power, when I do healing work, when I share breath work with others, I enter into this void space, and the space is the same thing that people refer to when they refer to oneness, consciousness, the now, the eternal moment, the present moment, all of these things, source, consciousness. This is all the space, and it's funny because a lot of people they call it spaciousness and things like this, but to me, I see it as the exact same thing that we refer to as outer space, which is the exact same space that's inside of our bodies. It's the same space in the room around you. It's all just the space, and it's conscious, and there's only one. There's no individual spaces. There's just one space throughout all of creation. And so whenever I do my healing work, it's amazing too, because sometimes I can be sitting there trying to think and figure out like, okay, I need to cut this cord, do that, or whatever, especially with the physical pain healings. But it's the moment that I disappear and just go into total spaciousness. In that moment, when people are like, oh, it's gone. The pain's gone. So connecting with that. So because in that space, when you're just purely present as nothing, as just space, as just the isness that is here, then the infinite power of the universe is there. Because everything arises from the space, and everything is the space. Even physical matter, our bodies, all the energy around us is still the space. It's not separate from it. It is the space itself. So when you merge your awareness, which is space, with pure space, so no subject object, you just become the space, then it's the infinite power of creation is all available to you, and whatever needs to come through in that moment will come through. Because you're getting out of the way and just allowing the pure power of all that is to come through in that moment. So that's why I'm the space shaman.
Well, that sounds better than the isness shaman. So.
Yeah, or I was getting the isness shaman, the oneness shaman. This is not as catchy as the space shaman. Plus, look at all the cool stuff. We're hanging out like in the stratosphere right now, man.
Right?
In the background
Space shaman, and and we're in a spaceship.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's what's going on here.
Right.
Tally says, hi, friends. I feel like my awakening is disappearing. I need help and healing.
Hi,
Well,
Tally.
we can
Hi,
help you
Tally.
out
Where's
with
it going?
Yeah, where's your awakening disappearing to?
We have a session with Tally coming up here in a couple days, I think. Thursday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
We do, Tally. Tally, you should breathe with us. What's going on? If you're in need of healing, if you want some healing right now, feel free. This is also a healing live stream.
Yeah.
So right there it says, comment if you're interested in receiving healing, have a question, or you want to share your experience. So you shared your experience. Do you want some healing? Are you open for some healing? Let us know. Reach out. Because we're here with the space shaman.
The space shaman.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you got a whole bunch of healing right here, open and ready for you. A whole bunch of love for you. Yeah, juicy. What's Cheyenne talking about? Juicy. What's it? Is this
I don't know what's juicy.
Joke? Is this an inside joke?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know.
Maybe you're unaware of it. I see.
I might be unaware of it. Could be.
I see what's going on. Hey, how about we breathe a little more?
Yeah.
You want to?
Hey,
Yeah.
why don't you guys? I got to go to the bathroom, so I'm gonna make you guys real big on the screen, and then
Cool.
and then you guys can breathe, and I'll breathe in the bathroom while I'm in the bathroom because I got my headphones on. So I can
Well,
hear
that's a
you
good
guys.
idea too. You know, it's kind of like Lamaze. You know, well, it depends what kind of bathroom you're going.
All right, so I'm gonna throw you guys up on a big screen, and let me see if I can do this just like this.
Going on the
No,
big
that just makes
Hi,
me
Casey,
big.
you're huge.
Okay, so I got to remove myself from the screen.
All right, we're on a big screen then.
All right, 3, 2, 1, breathe, and then I'm gonna pee.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
We're big on the screen now. What
We
I'm
are
going to do
big on the
is
screen.
I feel called to call in on the morphic field of breathing, to call in on the spirits and energies associated with breathing. So I'm going to do so before we start this, to bring in, basically call in the medicine of breathwork. Hi, all beings of light and energies, frequencies connected to the morphic field, morphology of breathwork. Willing to bring your healing here, your knowledge, your wisdom. Bring your perfect medicine here to us. And heal our souls that are already healed. Umpy, umpy, umpy. Hatanuma Vimho. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little more fire breathing, but not the same kind. What we're going to do is we're going to do variable speed breathing. This is lots of fun. This helps stimulate the physiology of the mind and the body and the neurochemicals. This is really fun. So make sure you're sitting down, supported for this one. This one's pretty intense, all right? So we're going to breathe first. We're going to breathe in and out through the nose. Nice big full breaths. I want you to fill up your belly, your chest, your head, and back out. It's like a circle. It's like a wave. You're going in fully, most of the way out, back in. It's kind of circular, but I want you to really focus on your exhale, okay? Be kind of sharp with it. Double your speed. Feel those tingles. Just keep going. Alkaline breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Long exhales. Double your speed. %100 in, 75% out. It's like a wave. It's circular breathing. Filling up, letting go. Filling up, letting go. Big breath in. Let go. Big breath in and hold. A little more. Hold. Just hold. Slowly drop to a neutral lung. Hold. Sayam na saiwa kaina. Big breath in. Hold. Squeeze into your head as if you're trying to make your face red. Start at a 3 out of 10. Slowly applying pressure, building a ball of light inside the center of your head, feeling that pineal gland expanding. Taking in all the information which surrounds you, feeling the walls, the ceiling, beyond. Feeling, squeezing tighter, tighter, and letting go. Just falling into your place. Relaxing, dropping right in, taking your breathing nice and slow, becoming just aware of the sensations in your body, inspecting them, feeling them, anything you feel, any tightness, any heaviness, just allowing it to float away with you, just floating away, separating, feeling good, happy and light. Big breath in, let go, big breath in, let go, big breath in and hold. Hold, begin to squeeze, start the perineum. Slowly, slowly coming up the spine into the abdomen, lower chest, upper chest, collarbones, neck, tongue pressed against the roof of the mouth, eyes closed and centered towards the third eye. 3, 2, 1, release. And here we are. Welcome to the next universe. Hey, Casey, your mic's off.
I was off that whole time. Wow. Well, that's okay.
I was wondering where you've been.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
You hear me now? Good. It's for you.
So speaking of welcome to the new universe, it was brought to my attention. There's this thing, I guess. I don't know anything about it. I haven't researched it. It was just brought to my attention. So there's this thing going around the internet called DR, desired reality. And at first, the way I had it explained to me, I thought it was like one of these quantum jumping things. But it's basically people are saying like that you enter into a deep meditative state, and then you're able to shift into whatever reality you want to. So apparently, my friend who's reading about it was saying that this one woman, she's like, yeah, I spent 8 years at Hogwarts. And then like you can go if there's a favorite anime you like, you can just visit that universe where that anime exists. And so they're asking my thoughts on this. And I was like, so to me, I see that as like, okay, well, I kind of do that with shamanic journeying because there's an infinite number of universes of realities, and we can exit our bodies and travel because we're not limited to this physical body.
We can access all of them because we are all of them.
But I have spent a lot of time in. There's this one place that I like to visit in particular, and I call it Rivendell because it looks like they look like the elves from Lord of the Rings, and it kind of looks Rivendell-esque. They don't call themselves that. That's just what I call them. But that place is very magical and beautiful. I've spent a lot of time there. I've been I was a part of this one ritual even where I've spent enough time with them. Was learning some of their healing arts and things like that. They're very skilled healers and magical practitioners. And so they invited me, kind of this guy, he's, I don't know, like one of the leaders of like this particular, I don't know, nation of them. So he invited me to be a part of this, bringing into their world like a new being. So when like a new being is born, which isn't nearly as often as people are born on this planet, it's kind of a big deal there. Then they have this whole ceremony where they all get around, they go through this spiritual ceremony, and then they just sing to this newborn baby as they like wrap them in cloths and stuff for like hours and things like this. And it's just this beautiful ceremony. So I got to be a part of that. And then after I participated in this ceremony, inviting this new spirit into the world, then they made me like an honorary member of their, I don't know, society, their race or whatever, like an elf friend, basically. And so I've experienced a lot of really cool stuff like that. I could go on for hours about my journeys through spirit, but it's just interesting that there's kind of these new catchy terms and things that people are creating, and I perceive
it's nothing new because it's nothing new. It's just
right.
Different ways people are explaining the same thing. It's the same thing. We all have these same abilities. We can learn all these different words or ways or different ways, like even just like the Pakakuna tradition. Okay, what is it really happening? What we're being taught is ways to access the one living energy in which we are made. It's just an ancient form of connecting to the internet of which we are made. That's basically what's happening with this. What spirituality is. We're connecting to the energy in which we're made. So yeah, that makes total sense. I believe that that's going to catch on. I think there'll be more people doing it because here's the truth. You're creating your reality. So you might as well create the way you want it to be. And if you have the mental power to go into creative mode where you actually can leave here, where you actually have the sense or the sensation that you leave here, why would you not?
Yeah.
As long as you limit yourself to not being able to travel, like it's like we're taught to do that. Like like my own father, for instance. Like I remember mentioning to my father one time, I said, "Hey, Dad, you know anything about meditation?" And he looked at me and said, "You're not supposed to go in your head like that," is what he said. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I see the conditioning, and that's just I thought the same way for a while when I was a kid. I would think these things we talk about right now would seem very far out to me, outside of my experience. And I'm sure they do to people outside of this experience. There's people that know exactly what we're talking about. There's people that are like, yeah, I've been experiencing that for 20 years. It's been happening for a long time. And they just don't tell anybody. We're just like juggernauts. We're out here saying, we don't care what you think. We're just going to tell you the truth of our experience. And you're going to be, and most people are surprised to find out like, wow, so there is other people that, experience similar things like I do. Yeah.
So I discovered shamanic journeying actually at a really young age, and I just remembered this like a year ago or 2 years ago or something like that. But when I don't know how young I was in grade school, and there was a friend of mine and we would do what we called traveling to the spirit world, where and to us we didn't care if it was real or pretend. We were just having fun. But what we would do is we would lay down, and then we would go on these adventures in the spirit world. And we had spirit guides that would come with us, and we would journey and do all this different stuff. And there were even times when we would be laying next to each other, have this journey for like 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, come back and be like, oh, that was so cool. Did you see when this guy did that thing? And then like we did that. So we were having the same experiences and going on these collective journeys. And at the time we were just, oh, it's cool. We're kids. And it's like, it's just, we didn't think about it. It didn't matter if what we were doing was real or not. But then at a certain point, you're conditioned out of your ability to do these things. So it's all just in your head. Stop playing pretend. It's your imagination. So I become very disempowered. But then it was amazing when I learned about shamanic healing later on in my life after my awakening and started practicing it. I was like, why does this feel so easy and like so natural to me?
Because it's who you are.
And then I didn't remember until years. I was like, oh, I've been doing this since I was a little kid.
So you're unwitting. Most of the things we're doing, we don't know what's happening. I see it.
But I'm not the only one that I've talked to. I've talked to at least 3 other people who said the same thing. They're like, oh, when I was a kid, I used to do that too. I would just lay down and go on all these like adventures.
I don't really know any kids that haven't. Like I did too. You did too.
Right.
Almost everybody I know, because you have an open imagination when you're a child. Nobody told you to sit down and conform yet. You haven't been conditioned yet. So children are far more magical than they become less magical as they become conditioned. So it all has to do with our conditioning. I don't know too many, because almost every kid I know had an imaginary friend. Some were more open about talking about it. There was which isn't actually imagination. It's their feelings. They're taking in information. And then the mommy goes, because mommy's conditioned, like, this is happening. This is not right. We're taking you to the doctor. That's what happens next. That's what always happens. We have some good questions. Oh, is that Mike Skilton? Is that Brother Mike? Hi, Brother Mike. And Cheyenne has a fantastic question, by the way. I really like.
So Cheyenne says, "Did you look like yourself when you visited?" I'm assuming she's talking about when I visited Rivendell, as I call it. So no, I didn't. The form that I travel in spirit is typically the form of a winged humanoid, like humans would describe an angel looking like, because that is the body that I am most comfortable traveling in. It's the body that I've spent the most time traveling in spirit before I came to Earth. So that's the body I typically show up as when I'm traveling in spirit, is like the winged human, unless I'm interacting with a race of beings where that would be totally jarring to them. And then I take on a form that looks more comfortable to those beings.
Yeah, whatever works for them in that space. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. It happens kind of, you don't even got to think about it. It kind of happens on its own. You come in, the consciousness is already there, the awareness is there, and if the form needs to change, it just does. You don't have to like, oh, I got to change my form to help these people. Like the soul just knows what to do. It kind of just goes right into it. So I never look like myself when I journey either. Not like this self. So
there are times, because there's something and Zane will get into it in the apprenticeship, but you actually learn to travel with, I think, 3 different specific bodies to the Paco, like bodies that they've identified in the Paco Kunin tradition, or it's the curandero. It's where the curandero work, if I'm not mistaken. But because the Pacos don't really journey, but so there's like your shadow body, something else, and then like your dream body, or something like that. Yeah. And so one of the bodies, I think it's your shadow body, looks exactly like your physical body, and it's very much bound by the same laws of physics as the physical reality. So when you're traveling in this body,
your shadow body is that. That's what
It's in my understanding, it's the body that pilots this one.
Right.
And everything. So like there are bodies you can travel in. So like the shadow body, when you leave this body, if in the physical world you can't do 10 pull-ups, then in your shadow body you can't do 10 pull-ups. If you can't fly with your physical body, you can't fly in your shadow body. But there are other bodies that are lighter in vibration, that are like more wave than particle, as Tony likes to put it, which I like that a lot. And then it's easier to do different things. Like in the winged humanoid form, it's very easy to fly, energy control. I can do amazing things with energy in the angel form. I mean, like, there are times when, because not everything is like love and light and fun. I mean, in spirit, it's just like the physical reality. There are times when you need to fight in spirit, and so so I have these like self-defense techniques, is what I kind of call them, to put them lightly. But there are things I can do, like shooting giant like fire waves out of my hand, and like creating giant pillars of ice, and like all this other things, like things you see in Avatar: The Last Airbender type of stuff.
Pretty much a limitless capability is how I feel when I'm in those states.
But they were bodies, so you can actually go. So people think it's like you enter into spirit, and then it gets you're like limitless, and you can do anything. That's only if you go lighter in vibration. Right. If you go to higher vibrational realities,
there's layers to it. So there's layers. It all depends on what kind of work you're doing, which kind of layer you go into, until you end up at the outer layers that take you into the one living energy, to the quantum realm, and then into there's quantum, and then there's space. That's all there is. That's only two things that happen. There's space. There's spaciousness followed by quantum energy. You can't perceive anything until the energy falls in, because there's only space. So but that's a whole different body. That's a whole different part of your spiritual body. By the time I get there, I don't have form anymore. There is no form. Like in my quantum, when I go into the quantum realm to look for information or find information, I'm just like, I don't even know if I can tell you what it looks like. In my conceptual mind, it's like jellyfish. I think jellyfish is what comes to mind. There is no human word for it. It doesn't look like a human word. It just is.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, though, that you can go into heavier, denser, not heavier, but more dense vibrations of reality. So when you go into these denser vibrations, which is what in all these traditions is referred to as the lower world, it actually gets harder to manifest things. The laws of physics are harder to break. It's harder. It's slower to manifest things into your reality. So like if you have, like in this reality, we can manifest things. We can bring things into our lives
depending on your personal vibration. If you have low
when you go into these deeper vibrations, you can still do that. These denser vibrational realities, it actually is slower to happen. It's more difficult to make that happen in these denser realities. So you can go in both directions. You can go in realities that are more dense. The laws of physics are harder to break. All this stuff, and you can go into lighter vibrational realities to the point where like everything is instantaneous.
And just right here in this reality, there's many, many layers. Just like how you're explaining, if you're a low vibrational mindset, like how I used to be, I brought in it was hard to manifest things. Life was hard. I was more particle than wave. And then you can just right here in this reality, there's many, many layers. You can go many, many different layers with what's happening. So it's not just here, like you're explaining, it's outside of here too. It goes further this way down, it goes further this way up, or however you want to look at it, down, up, heavy, light, all the same things. We got to get to our next question. That one looks really good to us.
So what methods do you use to visit those realities, and how long can you stay? What happens in your current reality when you're traveling?
So I can definitely answer the last part, but I'll let you answer the first part. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, so there, I can teach anyone to do this. I actually offer this as a service, but as we go on and continue to create content, I may just start talking about this stuff, guiding people through techniques and things. We'll see. But anyway, so what I basically do, and in the beginning, there was a lot of training. I actually had my training in hypnosis. That was one of the first things that I learned, was self-hypnosis. So learning to, because we have different brainwave kind of frequencies. So there's like beta brainwaves when you're really thinking, like in the thinking mind, focusing on a task, or like driving and trying to figure out where you're going, all this stuff. And as we start to relax more, we fall more into alpha brain waves, and then like mid to low alpha is like when you're really in the zone. So if you're playing like a sport, they've actually measured this, and like so when someone's doing a free throw, there's no thinking, they're totally relaxed, just in the zone in that moment. But also when you start to get like into like low alpha to high theta brainwaves, theta is the next one down. And it's like if you're involved in a book, you're reading a book. So all that's really happening in reality is you're staring at a piece of paper with markings on it. But your experience is that you're in this fantasy world, experiencing all these different emotions and visuals and all this stuff in your mind. And the way that we're able to do that is that we lower our brainwave state, where you give greater access to the subconscious mind and to our spirits. So a lot of my training in the beginning was learning to control my brainwave state, bring myself down into like those, like that mid theta kind of brainwave state. But now it's second nature. Now it's just instantaneously, I can make the intention to go there, and I can just leave my body. So once you get yourself relaxed, a little bit still, then I just pop out of my body. Sometimes I actually see myself like stepping out of my body, and then I can look back and actually see my physical body next to myself. And then I'll like open up a portal, go somewhere or whatever. And sometimes I just make the intention to like pop into some place. There's actually a starting place that I usually end up visiting. It's kind of like it's like my own little, it's like my property. It's my land. That's the way I kind of think of it. It's like this little section of forest that I always end up in. And I usually end up at the top of this waterfall. It's really beautiful. It's a big waterfall overlooking like tropical forest. There's a mountain in the background and an ocean over here. And then I'll usually hang out and I kind of acclimate. So I'll fly over the forest, maybe like stop on top of the mountain for a little bit, go down to the beach, just kind of get used to moving the spiritual body, look some spiritual calisthenics, moving the spiritual body. And then from there, I have a method where I just open up a portal. So I throw my hand, I throw out this like big light circle, and then I walk through that, and then I just create the intention that portal takes me to wherever I want to go, to get me there. So that's how I do it. There's more to it than that. I'm kind of like oversimplifying it.
It's difficult. So like for me, I started training my neurology and my brain waves through first breathwork. Breathwork was the first thing. Then I got into meditation, cold water, plant medicines. So my training came a little bit different than Casey's. I didn't really go into hypnosis or anything. I did watch some stuff about it more in the beginning, but most of my training came through my creating a connection within me. I didn't even know I was doing it. Of course, it was led through, and that's how it got there. But that's the method. So that's basically how I started developing the method. And now I don't really, it's like Casey said, I just kind of have a will to do it. Like I make it happen. I just like, it happens to me really easy in hot water. If I get in warm water in a shower, I can sometimes unintentionally shamanic journey. And as long as I stay there, well, time doesn't exist. So I've been there for thousands of years, which here would be minutes, seconds. So the other part of her question was, what happens in your current reality when you're traveling? Nothing. I'm just here for a little bit. Like, so don't think that when I'm traveling there, if I'm shamanic journeying for 5 minutes, I'm not in the shamanic realm. I'm not in the spiritual realm for 5 minutes. I could be there for 5 minutes, but more than likely I'm spending years, hundreds of years. Sometimes there's time I come back and it's been a long time.
I like to call this phenomena time dilation. So, so when we, so what's happening with our bodies? It's like, so if someone were to look at me while I'm shamanic journeying, I'm just laying in my bed being quiet. It looks like I'm sleeping, if I'm laying down, or if I'm sitting, it just kind of looks, that's about all it looks like, but when you leave, sometimes maybe it's been, 10 minutes in the physical reality. If someone were to sit here and start a timer and watch me, maybe 10 minutes has passed. But in the journey, I could have been gone for, years, experiencing all kinds of things. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes I will go and I'll feel like, okay, it feels like I've been journeying for about 40 minutes. And I'll come back and like, okay, it's been about 40 minutes. Sometimes it's the same. And other times I'm like, man, I experienced so much. Like, I don't know if I was gone for 40 minutes, if I was gone the whole day, and I'll come back and it's been like 10 minutes,
Well, there have been times, not so many, but there have been times where I come back and I'm like, wow, I've been gone for a while. I did, like, in this world, in this place, I'm like, oh shit, 40 minutes has passed. Wow, I didn't know I was gone that long here, because I can't tell what time it is when I'm there. I don't know what's.
Or sometimes
I don't even care.
Sometimes you'll come back and ask me like, how long was I gone?
Yeah.
You have no concept
When I leave into those realms, I don't even have, like, my mind doesn't work with time anymore. It doesn't even consider it. It doesn't think like, well, I wonder what time this will be, or how long will it take me to get there. None of those thoughts, those planning thoughts that are part of this reality even exist over there. So it's just a totally different thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What the F?
Hey, you can do it too. You just have to continue awakening the parts of you that are capable of doing it. Everything me and Casey can do, pretty much. I mean, we all have, like, I'm positive that all of us have, like, uniqueness about us. We all have these unique things that we have, these certain abilities, and together we form this one massive, powerful thing. But all of us have these journeying abilities, psychic abilities, empath abilities, healing abilities. They all might show up in a different way. Not everybody's going to show up the same way, but we all have these capabilities. It's just we have to open up to the possibilities. For me, I would say the biggest thing for me that helped me open up spiritually is actively uncreating the idea of impossibility from my reality, eliminating that, because that was always a question myself. Why do I believe anything's impossible? Who told me that? And then I started realizing that was just an idea.
Yeah. So I come on, brain.
No.
Right there. What were you just talking about?
I don't know.
Cheyenne says, "Is that exhausting?"
No.
So no. Well, I will say this though. So one of my favorite times to journey is before I go to bed. So I'll lay down, and a lot of people just sit there and they just think and think and think until they fall asleep. Yeah. So what I found myself doing that, I'm like, well, I could be using all of this energy that's just going into thinking to go out and travel and journey and have all these wonderful adventures. And so one of my favorite times of journey is laying down before I go to bed. I'll journey, and what ends up happening is it's so relaxing. My body gets so relaxed as I'm out in spirit traveling that I just continue the journey, but my physical body falls asleep, and then it just turns into like a dream journey where I'm actually asleep and dreaming. So if you do have insomnia, I recommend shamanic journeying highly, because it's one of the best ways to.
I can say that I have woken up exhausted when I've been journeying too much in my sleep, like because it'll come through, it'll end up like sleepwalking. I'll be chanting out loud, doing prayers, facilitating
as if he was
healing,
wide awake.
As if I'm wide awake. I don't know what's happening, of course, but it's just a reaction in my body from whatever frequencies bleeding through. I've always had, like, so as a kid, I always like a sleepwalker, kind of went away. But there's times, especially when I'm in the times of like spiritual growth, I am communing with other Pacos and different dimensions and things in my journeys. And it happens usually in my sleep is where it happens. And I will wake up tired. I
remember what I was going to say. So in terms of like learning how to do this, I have a particularly powerful ability. Speaking of us all having, different gifts and abilities, I have a particularly powerful ability to unlock the ability to do this kind of shamanic journeying in people. So I'll take people and guide them on their first shamanic journey. Very good at relaxing the body and mind in such a way that it opens them up to being able to have their first journey experience. And then after that, they can just journey on their own.
Yeah, I can agree with that. You took me on one of my first real shamanic journeys.
Oh, I did. That's right.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, that's how I could tell that your background going into it is hypnosis, because my mind, I could feel I was allowing hypnosis to happen. I was opening up, like, because a part of my mind blocks that out. Like how everyone can't be hypnotized. Like I'm one of those people that I've been in hypnosis.
That's not true. Everyone goes in and out of hypnosis multiple times every day.
I mean, generally, like here, not every year. If you went on stage, if we go in front of a hypnotist on stage, he's probably not going to be able to hypnotize me.
That's because you've said that. Because you
can never.
Because I'll say this:
open up to let it. I have to open up to let it happen. If I don't let it happen, it just doesn't happen.
No one can hypnotize you. You're the only one that hypnotizes yourself. Even if you go to a hypnotherapist to receive healing, you want to quit smoking or lose weight or whatever, you go to a hypnotherapist. They're not hypnotizing you. They're just guiding you into hypnotizing yourself.
Right.
Because I used to do stage hypnosis, like just for fun for my friends and stuff. And I get people going, oh, well, I bet you can't hypnotize me. And my response was always, yeah, you're absolutely right. I can't hypnotize you because you've just decided that you're not going to let yourself be hypnotized. So anyone can. It's just that you're the one hypnotizing yourself. So you have to decide, I want to go into this and have this experience. I'm ready to do this myself. So if you decide like I can't be hypnotized, and that's true.
So that's usually the issue. So there's people that won't be hypnotized, and it's not that they don't want to be hypnotized. It's that they don't know that they need to let go. They don't know that they can let go. It's a guard. It's some sort of.
Or they just a lot of it is misconception. There's so many movies, about hypnosis and about like, it's people controlling your mind and all that. No, it's you can't make anyone do anything they don't want to do. It's all you're the one hypnotizing yourself, creating the experience for yourself. It's just that, can I allow this person to guide me? Do I feel comfortable with them guiding me into my own experience?
Which, by the way, you're amazing at doing, because I mean, you put me right down that first time you walked me through a shamanic journey, and it was amazing. And my mind, while we were in there, my mind was questioning, like, am I seeing something? Like, and then I was just trying to tell myself to relax. And then there you were, you'd come right back in and remind me to basically stay clear and relaxed, and it would calm my mind down again. It would shut it down again, so it would allow me to open back up to the experience. And that's when I met my owl.
Yeah, that was your first journey, and you were flying with an owl over this beautiful landscape, and it was like, that was cool, man.
Cool.
It was
awesome
to be a part of.
Yeah.
We got to get together and journey again. Let's do that tomorrow. Let's do a little journey tomorrow.
All right, I'm in.
All right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Group shamanic journeying is like one of my favorite things.
Fuck yeah. Wait till we do it in like a big setting. Like I have all these great ideas that come up for some things. Some beautiful, beautiful ideas, like with big group events. So dude,
on stream. Let's all journey on, not right now, but on one of our streams, let's journey.
We should make a stream called Shamanic Journey. That's what because that's that'll help us. That'll actually get people to want to watch certain things. We got to come up with more creative titles to these things, and actually, because we're just kind of getting started here. But what we're going to do is we should take some of these questions and not answer them all right here. We should take some of these questions, and then we'll use these as we expand. We'll use these questions to come out and have things like, hey, whatever the question is, do you want to learn about shamanic journeying? That's basically what it is. So now we have all these questions. We answer these. This gives us a template. So I can't wait to do some more of those.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for all that. Like, thank you all, like all you guys, Shan, Geraldine, Mike, Tally, like all these people commenting. Thank you so much for being here. I love this. The interaction, like this is why we're here for you guys. We would be here having fun regardless because we just love doing this. But we're here to help spread consciousness, make life lighter, and plant some seeds, and hopefully make reality more magical and fun for everybody.
I don't gotta hope. It's more magical and fun every day for me, Casey. So I know if it's for me, it's for everyone else too. So let's go. Yeah,
it's cool. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
You want to pull up a couple more comments?
It's up to you.
What about this Geraldine's question? Yeah.
If I can't afford to formally train in the shamanic path, what would you recommend practicing on a daily basis to bring me closer to Spirit and Mother Earth? My meditations are often interrupted. Yeah, I would definitely start with breathwork.
Breathwork's the A1. I mean, like I said, for me, that's how so Casey has a little different story. His goes way back further. Mine was more like very explosive. My growth is very explosive and fast. Breathwork's not the only thing I did to get here, but it's a big piece. It's a really big piece. That's how you get control. Like even in her next comment says mind over matter. This is how you get control of the mind. The breath is the captain of the mind. Yep. If you don't have a daily breath practice yet, that's your first step. That brought me into shaman. That brought me into my shamanism. That's what got me here is the breathing. The breathing opened the door for all these other things after that to get me even further.
Yeah, if I had discovered breathwork back at the beginning of my journey, it would have been incorporated into every single thing. Sure. Like every time I journeyed, because now it is.
It is.
When I journey, but before I shamanic journey, round of breath to put me into the space to journey. Before I do healing work, breath to put me into the space to do healing work. Everything all my practices, breath.
Even my clients, I use breath with most of my clients in some form or another in their healings. I mean, it's just a fantastic tool. It's the strongest, it's the most powerful healing tool available to us. There really isn't anything stronger. I'm not saying it's the only thing you need to do. Some people are like, well, I need to do more than just breathe. Yes, you do, but don't skip on that. If you're going to skip anything else, if you're going to skip exercise, you're not going to do a great diet, you're not going to do cold showers, you're not going to do spiritual practices, at least breathe. If that's the only thing you can get in, that's going to be the most important thing for you all the time. And usually if you get in your breath work, that opens you up. It opens the mind to do the other things you need to do to make yourself more whole.
Yeah. Like Mike just wrote the comment, be still 20 minutes ago. Well, okay. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And you say, be still, like, what does that mean? So breath will bring you into a place of stillness. I mean, people who are following along in the stream probably just experience, you do the breathing, the breath holds, and all of a sudden, like, ooh, everything just, wow, it's quiet all of a sudden.
That's what brings you to the stillness. So for me, I couldn't meditate at all because I was an intense, incessant thinker. I was always analyzing, things always running. So all I would do is I'm like, okay, I heard what someone told me that be still for 20 minutes a day. So I'd sit there, I'd be still, but the mind is running. It's going so fast. And then I'm like, hey, stop thinking. And the more I say stop thinking, the more it tries to think.
Yeah.
And so pretty much for meditation for me in the beginning, it was just pretty much frustrating. It was pretty much frustrating. Now I don't even got to think about it. I can accidentally go into meditative states. I'll realize, oh, I'm in a meditative state.
Right.
That feels good. I feel good. Everything's safe. Like I don't just like zone out. It's not like narcolepsy or anything, but there's times where I'm just like, I'm not intending to become in a meditative state. And I just end up being there. I'm just present as hell. I'm just totally loose or slipped into I'm here. I'm walking around talking, but I'm actually in the void. I'm in the void space, just enjoying myself. Just, you feel it. It's a feeling. It's a feeling more than anything else. It's all feeling.
I have a question. Speaking of being in that void space, that meditative space, that stillness, for you guys, is it easier for you to be in that void space, to be still when you're by yourself or when you're with other people, when you're around other people?
It doesn't matter for me.
Doesn't matter for me either.
Now I will say for me, it's actually, what's that?
It just happens so easily now that I've done so much breath work, all the time.
And practicing and meditation. I mean, because I always like to do, I don't just do my breath work usually and stop there. I'm doing my own practices. I breathe and I meditate for a little bit afterwards. I use that state of consciousness to fall into the void because it takes you there. That's that feeling. It starts off as that tasty feeling just before you're about to fall asleep. That's what that feels like. And then in the beginning, sometimes I would just fall asleep because I didn't know how to control it. It's like a clutch. It's like the clutch in the gas. It's a pendulous kind of thing. It's a balanced thing. And it's just like everything else. You're training your balance how to do it. You're balancing what's happening.
So now I'll say, for me, now I can choose at any moment. Anytime I choose, I can choose to be still and be in the void space, to be in the spaciousness. Mm-hmm. But it is way more natural and effortless for me to be still, to be in the space when I'm around other people, even like talking to other people. Like when I'm with you guys, even right now in this live stream, as I'm listening, as I'm sitting here being around, like there's no thoughts going through my head. I'm not sitting here like thinking about, oh, okay, he said that. Oh, that's interesting. Like I'm still, there's just stillness. And we could even be just together, like driving in the car or whatever. And my mind is totally still without any interference. It's just more effortless.
Well, the mind's active. Your consciousness isn't steered by the mind. The mind never stops. So it's so what's happening is your consciousness.
The thinking mind is what I'm thinking about. The internal dialogue isn't there.
Yeah, the dialogue's not there because you're not identified with it. It's happening. You just don't hear it because you're not listening to it. It never stops. It's just that thing never stops. Part of the machine. What it is we can, like how you're explaining, you can be the awareness, that spaciousness, and just be the witness to basically, you start seeing yourself as a hood ornament. You start seeing yourself out in front of yourself and you're watching. And I watched this guy and his behaviors and his interactions. And I'm kind of watching this go. I was like, okay, I can see how. And sometimes there's an interaction that's like undesirable. And instead of me getting worried, instead of worry or something come forward, I just watch. I'm like, okay, that's something. Oh, that's some sort of emotional trigger he has there. And that's how the healing starts happening. Just from back here, being in that awareness, the light of awareness, right?
So Geraldine is saying, yes, my mind is always running a marathon until the early hours. Sleep is not a great friend. I came from, it's funny because I came from such a place of intense, incessant thinking. I think all of us
do. I had insomnia for 3 times for 3 weeks straight. I went 21 days, 3 times, 0 sleep. That was so terrible. It was.
I've gone days. There were times when I went days and days without sleeping. Yeah.
You start usually about day 7 or so for me is when the hallucinations start. Like not visions, not spiritual hallucinations. You're actually things are being created in your reality just through your broken instrument. The instrument's all worn out, not working right, and that's scary when you can't trust your own thinking anymore.
Yeah, but sometimes it's funny because when you see the truth, which the truth of who you really are. Because so many of us are identified. We think the thinking mind or emotions, that's us. We identify mostly with the thinking mind, but there comes a point that you step back and you realize, oh, I'm the space that holds the thinking mind. I'm the space that holds my body. I'm the space that holds my emotions. I'm the space that holds all of this. I'm just the one space. And it's so obvious because you are it. You've always been it your whole life. And it's so obvious that when you're looking for it with a thinking mind, like it's looking in all different directions, trying to figure it out, and you can't find it. But then when something happens and you snap free, and then you experience that, you're like, oh, it was always this. It's the most obvious thing. And it's like hilarious almost when you first see it and realize it.
For the most part, I understand this body now, and my depth of my understanding is this is an instrument in order for me to take in all the information of this reality. That's what it's meant for. I'm meant to take in all of the vibrational information, whether it be desirable, undesirable, whatever it is. That's my whole job, is to observe this and do the best I can to learn how to be non-reactive.
Yeah, see, and when I really sit and choose, make the conscious choice to just be here as the space, there happens this weird thing where I don't even, how to put it, I don't even perceive there to be anything other than the space. I could be looking directly at another human being. I could be looking at Tony or Mary. And my eyes are seeing visual information, but it doesn't even register as anything other than emptiness, anything other than space. It's all just one singular thing, the 0 point, just space. It's all I perceive. When I really let myself go into this space, I could be having a conversation, all the words, all the sounds, all the sensations, it's all just empty space.
Yeah, that can be difficult then that can create some difficulty in navigating this reality, because then that makes you divergent. So it doesn't though.
It doesn't, because that allows, when I'm in that space, then I'm fully present with every sensation. You know what I mean? Like then when someone is talking to me, I'm no longer experiencing, like, I'm not seeing Mary talking to me and telling me something. I'm experiencing the one, which I can also at the same time perceive as this immaculate form that is speaking immaculate vibrations into my ears. And it's all the most perfect 0 point oneness. And then when I respond, I'm just the empty space responding back to empty space. And then it becomes like this beautiful, beautiful interaction. So yeah, I think it empowers everything you do if you can really be just empty, just the space. It's really, really powerful. And actually, when I chose to spend an entire 2 years of my life doing nothing but spending as much time as I could in that spaciousness. And in that time, one of the things that happened was because I needed money and I didn't care what I did. I was just so happy all the time to be doing whatever, that I was like, oh, I'll just look in the ads on the newspaper. And I'm like, oh, this place is hiring. So I got a job at a telemarketing company doing cold calling. And just the space, the whole day, I'd just be there, just big smile on my face, just peaceful, happy as could be, just bliss and ecstasy because I'm just empty, just pure space. And through that, the power came to be able to do all this telemarketing and stuff. And I got promoted to manager within like 2 weeks of being there. It empowers. So whatever you're doing, if you're doing healing work, spiritual work, if you're cold calling people, trying to sell them the local newspaper, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, if you can come from pure spaciousness, which are your true essence, who you are, the essence of all things, it empowers every single thing that you do.
Yep. The thing is learning how to get there. You can't just go there. These are great ideas and are total truths, but it's breaking free from the constraints of the thinking mind. Just like how Geraldine, she's saying, my mind is always running a marathon until the early hours. Sleep is not a good friend. That's what that is. You've lost control of the thinking mind. So how you get control of the thinking mind? You start taking control of your breathing. And what you can do is when you're laying there and you can't get a hold of the thinking, that's when smell the flower, cool the soup comes in, Geraldine. So when you're laying there and you can't breathe, let's do a little round. Let's do some, just smell the flower, cool the soup.
Yeah.
So we'll show Geraldine how to do it. So Geraldine, what you want to do is just slow down your breathing cadence. And what you're doing here is you're building up oxygen and dropping out carbon dioxide. So this is going to kind of give you a euphoric feeling to begin with. And what happens is you change the physiology, the brainwave rate, the thinking, the quiet gets a little quieter. Because that's all it is. It's just incessant thinking. The mind's just running. It's mind activity. It's running. What you don't know how to do is get control of it, because we live in a world where we're not taught how to get control of it. Yeah. So that's on purpose. So what you want to do is, Geraldine, next time you're laying there, the mind's running, instead of just getting upset or keep thinking or whatever. And it might not work, especially if it's brand new to you. If this is your first time doing it, don't think that this is just going to work. You got to practice your breath all the time. Okay. You want to do it once a day, twice a day. But then when you're ready to use it, when you really need it, you're going to have the tools for you. And if it doesn't work the first couple times you try, or the first time, it didn't for me too. And I got pissed off and I'm like, this shit doesn't work. And then I just kind of stood back. I used my presence and my consciousness and said, hey, let him have his temper tantrum. And then after he let go, I went back, I tried again, and I fell asleep. That's all I had to do. So it's practice. You didn't get into this mode of thinking overnight, so you're not going to get free either. Okay.
All right.
So
keep talking and then go into the breathing. I got to pee again. I've been drinking a lot of fluid.
Oh my goodness. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. And what you're going to do is you're going to use the mindset, even when you're laying there, because now you're taking your thinking out of here and start coming into inside. You want to drop out of the head and into the body. Have that intent. Like I'm dropping out. When you even go to breathe, say to yourself, I'm going to drop out of my head and into my body. You could say that out loud. By you saying that, you're making the intent out here into there, into the spiritual realm, into this vibrational area around you. You're setting your intent. So then all you got to do is breathe into the nose, smelling a beautiful flower, and cool the soup. Pursed lips, long exhales. If you're calling off a hot spoon of soup or blowing out your birthday candles, continue. Using the diaphragm. Always use the diaphragm. Because that's something I can tell right now, Geraldine. That's something maybe you want to get some personal training in with your breathing, because I can sense already that you have an inverted breathing pattern. So when you're breathing, you're filling up and it's all chest. I'm not sure you're aware how to use that diaphragm properly yet. So if you want to learn how to use that, you can reach out. Casey can teach you. We can teach you. We have some videos. You subscribe to our channel. We do all kinds of stuff too. You can check that out. But I have the awareness that you may not know how to use the diaphragm. So by practicing how to use that diaphragm, using all of your intent to fill up your belly with your nose. Just put your hands on your belly, Geraldine. And breathe into the hands. This may take some practice. Long exhales. But what you want to do is about 30, 40 breaths. You don't have to count. You can go guess by feel. But if you're kind of a beginner, go till you're really woozy. Till you have a lot of vibration, a lot of looseness, tingling. 5 more. Long, full breaths. 2 more. Last one, fully in. And just let go. Hold. This is where you'd hold. Allowing yourself to fall into relaxation. Having the awareness of letting go. Floating down into the body. Downstream. Letting go. And any thoughts coming in, do not identify. You can't stop the thoughts, but you can stop the identification. You can allow it to go by. Whatever the thought is, let go of it. Whatever it is. So if your thing is, oh, I have a great idea, I need to grab my phone, later, let go. Let go. Whatever it is, let go. So you're teaching yourself how to let go of the thinking. Okay. Taking a deep breath in. Just holding. You don't want to be doing a lot of squeezing right before you're trying to sleep. That'll activate. That causes activations. So you're just holding, nice relaxed hold. Now you're going to slowly release. And let your breathing go intuitively where it wants to. Okay. And if you have to do a couple rounds like that, do that. But I guarantee you'll start having space between the thinking and you have a lot easier time sleeping. I tried all kinds of shit. I tried melatonin. I tried hypnosis. I tried all kinds of things to help me sleep. Okay. None of it worked. The only thing that ever worked, meditation, mindset coaching from other mindset coaches and stuff, trying to find what it is. What can I do to stop this incessant thinking? Because mine was so powerful. It was so powerful. It was making me extremely ill. Like I was dying from disease that was coming. Later on, I realized, oh, it's my thinking. I'm creating. That's how powerful it is. And we're all that powerful. All you got to do is learn to harness that. Just kind of let go, let the thinking go by, separate yourself from it.
Yep.
One thing I noticed just on that round of breathing, other than me becoming very still going into the spaces,
we are space shaman.
The space shaman went into the space, but I have this like tension in the back on like my occipital ridge. I don't know. I keep like moving my neck in weird ways and stuff. It just feels like maybe something kind of wants to pop, but it won't. There's been a lot of tension there, and just in that round of breathing in particular, it felt like all this healthy blood just rushed to that area, and then it felt like I just got a massage in that area. It's like
nice.
Oh, it felt so good.
Beautiful healing.
Yeah, it can be very healing.
It took me right to the void.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that right.
Geraldine, if you have any other questions about insomnia, is a thing. One of the things I excel at. People with lung disease, asthma, COPD, incessant thinking, and insomnia. That's my thing. Those are the things that I really had to learn a lot to overcome within my own healing. And I have a really good way of helping people get through that. I can't believe how many people I've helped with insomnia in just a short period of time of me wanting to help people with insomnia. Because so many of us have it.
My biggest struggle, I think I would say, since starting my spiritual path had been the anxiety. And so because of that, that's a part of my medicine now. And I'm really good at helping people to free themselves from this horrible anxiety that they feel. Yep. I can identify with it because for so long I suffered from it.
Right.
And now I'm free.
That's what it is. That's incessant thinking, right? You can't have anxiety without incessant thinking. It's not.
I would argue that you can.
How?
It's an energy sensitive thing. It's an overwhelm of energy.
It can be. That's at a different level, though. Most of it, the anxiety, because that can happen. But the majority of anxiety is coming through thought loops.
For most people, I would say that's true. Now, for me, I would notice that oftentimes it was when there's not a single thought going through my mind. I'm totally present, and then I would become really aware of energy. And then the energy sensations would get really intense, and it would just be like too much for my body to handle. Yeah. And then my heart would it would just get really uncomfortable in the body, be physically uncomfortable.
Okay. So that's not clinical anxiety, what you're explaining. Yeah. What you're explaining is energy sensitivity. And that leads into anxiety is what that does. So like even for me, like when my energy sensitivity is coming through, what would happen is I'd become anxious because of how it feels. The feeling would create a generation of fear. So there is some thinking that comes forward of fear, like this is too intense for me. This is just so fucking intense that I'm not sure if I want to be here. I want to get off this roller coaster. That's basically what happens is that's where the thinking comes in. The anxiety isn't triggered by the thinking, but the thinking is what fuels what's happening. You see what I'm saying?
Even then, I wouldn't. There were times it's funny because I wouldn't have the thought of like I'm afraid this is too much. It would just be empty uncomfortability. It was like an adrenal thing. Like the energy would get so intense, like the adrenals would activate, and then it'd just be like.
How do you know it's uncomfortable unless you think it's uncomfortable?
Yeah, it was just a feeling. It was just
how do you know it's there? Do you see it? You have to think it has to be there.
But it wasn't. There was no. But for most people, that when they're actually having those thoughts of like, oh, this is scary. I don't like this. I never thought that. It was just pure sensation. It was just a sensation.
Right. But you wouldn't know you have anxiety unless you thought that. Do you see what I'm saying? There's.
I know what you're saying.
There's a little bit of a paradox there. I
know what you're saying. But in my mind, there was no actual incessant thinking mind in the picture. It was just a feeling, just an uncomfortable feeling. That was all it was.
That uncomfortability triggers the thinking. I know exactly what it is. It's happened to me a lot of times.
Yeah.
But anxiety, that's definitely that's a big thing, and more now because we're in a time now where everything vibrationally has changed. So you've seen it, I've seen it. More and more people coming forward, awakened, coming with at least the beginnings of the awareness, and are just full of anxiety because they're taking in all this information that wasn't there before, and it creates fear. It's overloading. What's happening? Why do I feel this way? I just want it's the feeling. I have this feeling in my body, and I just want it to stop. It's fucking terrible. I want off this roller coaster.
Right.
So I just had the awareness of it's more like because this happened, like you said, it's happening to people naturally now because of the shifts
Yeah.
and the energy of the planet and all of this stuff. But before that, a lot of like some people's first experience with this kind of thing is taking psychedelic plant medicines.
Yeah,
because
sure.
you suddenly go from your normal state to
so
being
much.
aware of so much more energetically, and so there's this feeling of like so for me, here's how I would describe it. When you get that, you're suddenly taking in way more information. Your body tenses up, so there may be no thinking involved, but you tense up, and you're trying to hold on, and you don't want to let it in.
Right.
So it's making the conscious effort to let go, relax, just like the
Accept.
binary dialogue of the universe that they talk about in the Pakokun tradition is Hucha and Sami, tension and relaxation. So if you're tensing up in response to just sensation, because that's all it is, a sensation that you're feeling, then that tension is going to cause way more heaviness to accumulate. And then the moment you decide to relax that tension, then everything just starts flowing. And then it no longer continues to build, and then it can just be
acceptance. You need to accept. So,
yeah.
So speaking of psychedelic interactions like that, I had one that was super intense. One of the best trips I've ever had. I don't consider bad trips. They're good. I want that to happen because it gives me the most growth. So I basically spent about 150 years in the highest level of anxiety I've ever experienced in my life, because my energy sensitivity opened up so big on the psychedelic I took that I could experience every range of human emotion, from the most heavy to the most light, all at once. And I was sitting there, and all I could do was smile, because I was in total shit disbelief, because how it felt, because the feeling came in, the feeling set off the physiology. I could feel my adrenal glands pump up, and then it started trying to bring in thoughts of fear. And then the thoughts of fear came, and I'm like, hold on, man. All I have to do is accept that this is temporary. However I feel right now is going to change. It always changes. Everything's changing and moving all the time. So all I do is accept that, hey, this is just how I feel right now, and why don't I take the gift that is giving me? And as soon as I did that, it still was highly anxious feeling. The feeling was still there, but I was able to objectively take it. And that's what it taught me. That was the medicine. The medicine showed me how to handle the most intense anxiety I could possibly have. I couldn't create anxiety like this in my life if I tried. There's no way, because that was the most intense feeling of anxiety I've ever felt in my life. But now, since I know that I can handle that, I don't worry when any anxiety shows up. It's, this ain't going to last long, because, hey, remember that time you did acid and you felt every human emotion all at once for about 4.5, 5 hours? It felt like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So I love those. I love that happened. And I can understand why that can help people. Psychedelics can help people, because what happens is it takes you to a whole new level of anxiety. And if you have someone there to help you, if you have someone there to guide you through, if you have whatever it is, some sort of person helping you therapeutically, you can really make big changes. And that's why these things are becoming legal all over the world, right? It's creating freedom.
I was watching this guy talk about, he's got a channel where he talks about different substances and things. And he was saying that people have this idea that bad trips are they're bad. They're called bad trips, right? People call them
Somebody
bad
said
trips.
that, right?
But he was saying in this channel, he said usually, the trips that you have that are good, that's great. It may feel really beautiful. But he said the bad trips are usually the ones that create the most growth and healing in a person. Because
same thing with life. Your worst experiences are your greatest teachers. The people that trigger you the most and piss you off the most, these are your greatest teachers. And if you learn to see them that way, all of a sudden it's respectable. Now you're not pissed anymore. Now you're like, hey man, I see what you're doing to me. You've triggered some imprints in me, and I really like that. So now you're being thankful for it. I'm thankful that guy pissed me off today, because it wasn't him, it was me.
He's a tiny Buddha. That's what my Zen teacher used to say.
Yeah, tiny Buddha.
It's the things that trigger you, the people that push your buttons, all these little things that happen, they're tiny Buddhas, little teachers.
I love that. That's a nice analogy. I'm going to use that one. That's imprinted in here. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I was trying to pull up some of these comments. Geraldine was saying, that was so great. Yes, you were right. I shallow breathe because of asthma. My belly breath with hands was very helpful. Thank you. And yes, Casey, my heart suddenly races for no reason, up to 100 beats per minute sometimes. Anxiety is nasty. Shaman was saying that breath work was juicy. Casey, get out of my head. I was feeling the exact same sensation. I feel so still. Thank you so much. And I just figured that I needed to ground. And exactly.
You do. Grounding's good. And one other thing has just come through, Geraldine. What you want to try to do is disidentify with the word. I try to help people disidentify with illness. So anxiety technically is a word that they use to describe just being uncomfortable. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think of this word and you see this word anxiety, anxiety is terrible. See, you wrote anxiety is nasty. So what you're doing is you're creating that. You're making that happen. What you can do is eliminate that thinking from your mind. Yeah, that will help you get rid of it that much faster as soon as you decide to. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do, but by starting somewhere, just by starting somewhere, eliminating the word anxiety at all, you can eliminate that from your vocabulary of what you think you are, because otherwise it becomes part of the identity. I hope you understand what I'm saying there. I think you do. I think you're picking up what I'm saying there. And if you have asthma, I'd love to help you with asthma. That's what I do. I help people with asthma and lung disease.
Well, I can tell you with anxiety, when I didn't realize I had anxiety for most of my life. And then when I realized I had it, it became more intense for me. So then as I was realizing, okay, I would feel it come on. I knew when it was happening every time it happened then. And so I was so aware of it. But then all of a sudden it was like, all right, well, I'm just going to drop that feeling and use my breath and keep moving. And I wasn't figuring out
the trigger,
the why. And Tony kept telling me, you have to figure out the why. That is the best tool, Geraldine, to transform your anxiety from being such a negative thing to using it as a teaching tool, and to stop and figure out when it starts to happen to you. As soon as you can figure out that it's happening to you, to stop and separate yourself from it and just try to look at what's happening. What were your thoughts telling you? Pay attention to that and figure out why that was happening.
How did you get to the awareness to be able to do that? That's the thing that most people have. Like, well, what you're saying makes sense, but how did you get there? How did you get to this level of awareness?
Oh, well, breath work.
Yeah.
Because breath work basically is what I would use to calm myself down. Because now that I was aware of the anxiety, I could feel it physically, and it was mentally
breaking
happening.
The cycle, because it's a mind, physical, energetic cycle.
So I would use my breath work first as soon as I realized it was happening, to calm myself down. The same thing that we were teaching you about insomnia. You know, smell the flower, cool the soup. I would use that. I'd be at work around people. No one would even know I was doing it. And then that would easily cause myself to have a little bit of separation in my thinking, to stop myself and be able to ask myself why and try to figure out. And then I started figuring out what my triggers were. Then I started figuring, and I would just keep asking myself, why this? And why does this happen? And why am I doing this? And why am I thinking that? Does it serve me? No, it doesn't. So then you got to figure out how to change those cycles.
Yeah. And stop naming it. If you don't name it, if you don't give it a life, it takes on a different thing. Because what happens is like I don't even like using the word. It's just a description, because that's what most people say. I don't know what else to call it. You can't come to me and be like, hey, I got this feeling of, like you got to have a word for it. I feel like,
I'm feeling all like, you're black.
I like to use the term, okay? Because what is the basis of, because people use this word anxiety, that's a clinical word. So it's anxiety, but it's not telling you what the truth is. What is the basis of the majority of your anxiety? Incessant thinking. So I like to call it incessant thinking or runaway thinking. That's the term I prefer to use with most people. They'll come like, do you have anxiety? Yeah. It's like, well, you understand it's incessant thinking. And they go, oh. They don't really realize that. They're saying, I can't shut my mind off, but they're not really looking at it like, oh, I just am suffering from incessant thinking. What's causing the incessant thinking? Incessant thinking, right?
And this is, again, it's so disempowering to give yourself a diagnosis of like, I have anxiety, because then it's every little thing you have. You start to feel a little bit of a sensation that's a little different and uncomfortable, and your mind goes, oh, it's anxiety, and then that triggers the whole. It anchors in anxiety into your reality. Is
something outside of you for how you feel. You're giving power to that word. The word becomes what it is, not you anymore.
Well, just like you were saying, it's reversed on the screen. But just like you were saying, you said, when you say what is anxiety, for most people, it's incessant thinking. So it actually took me a long time to realize that what I was calling anxiety was not what most people were calling anxiety. They were two completely different things. Like you said, for the average person, it's just incessant overthinking. And I would talk to people who had anxiety, and they're like, yeah, I just can't shut my mind off, and I worry about this and that. And I'm like, I don't do any of that. It's just uncomfortable sensations of energy. And so then I was actually talking to Zane about it. I'm like, so when other people talk about anxiety, they're like, oh, he's thinking and this. And he actually, so he's like, no, he's like, so what you're experiencing isn't what most people would label as anxiety. You're just experiencing powerful energy sensations that you're tensing up in response to. You're not letting go. You're not moving your hucha, feeding it to the earth. Hucha is accumulating in your body. That's what you're experiencing. It's just hucha in your body, and it's your body's reacting to the accumulation of too much hucha. That's kind of how he described it. And then when I started to learn to move hucha through Saman Chikui, through breathwork to integrate into ecstasy, then it was like, it's the cure. You know, you can be free.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so, in that level, that's just not typical of the majority of people out here.
Right.
That's not super typical. Those feelings they come to the people, but what that generates for most people is incessant thinking. It creates fear because you feel out of control. That's what happens. So the body, what happens is the physiological response happens, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in, and then that's the second thing. That creates modes of thinking because now you're in a survival mode. The body's reacting in a survival mode. So you can't really stop the thoughts from being in a survival. You're going to worry, like, what's wrong? What is this? What's going on? That's incessant thinking when you're questioning what's going on all the time. That's what, so it leads into, it all morphs together right into that. So what you got to do is you got to break the cycle. That's usually where it starts. Even if it's energetic, you got to break the cycle. And how do you break the cycle? You cause an interference pattern. The interference pattern comes in through changing the brainwave rate, changing the physiology, changing the energetic connection. And that can happen really. Saman Chikui, Saiwa Chikui, moving, just having the intent to move energy around, to move, to flush, to cleanse, to open up, whatever it might be, can just change that whole dynamic like that. But it's knowing that you have the ability to do that. And that opens up through opening up the mind. And for a lot of people, that's where breathwork shines. I watch this happen over and over, and it just opens up right into there. And then all these other things that we do, shamanic practices, energy practices, everything else you do gets even better, gets even stronger. Like, think about cold water for you now.
Yeah.
As opposed when you first started cold water, now that you're further into your breath practice. It's a totally different thing, right?
Oh, yeah. And this was, I don't know how many years ago I tried my first cold shower, but it was like, you know, I started out with a hot shower, and then so what I did the first time I tried just turning it to cold, and I'm like I and I'm a person that likes the cold too. Like I like things to be cold, but my body's, I'm like, ooh, okay, just get it all over. And then so then what I would do is I would I'm gonna wean myself into it. So I would go like from hot to like a little bit colder, a little bit colder, a little bit colder over the course of like 10 minutes until my body acclimated. And then I was like, okay, I can deal with this. And now like I look forward to having that, like, the colder it is, the better, turning that thing all the way cold and stepping in completely relaxed in mind and body, stepping in there completely physically, mentally relaxed and still. And that's like my favorite. Yeah, go ahead.
So what we should do is go find like a big shower room. And then what we can do is throw in our trunks. We can invite other people and we can have a live stream cold shower party. Wouldn't that be cool? Like
that sounds oddly suggestive,
or something like a high school gym or something.
No, that sounds even worse. Yeah. We're gonna have a cold shower party. We're gonna do it in a high school. Come on, man.
Well, I don't know where your mind's at. I'm talking about cold water, and you know, you can take that any way you want. I'm talking about having a cold shower party because
I don't know why cold shower party to me just sounds so suggestive. A cold shower party.
You need to get out more. Speaking of getting out more, we got to get out of here because it's time for Hogwarts, man. I'm still a young apprentice. Dude, we've been on for almost 2 hours. We're having way too much fun out here.
We should, what we should do at some point though is because I've heard there's this thing that people do called endurance streams.
Yeah,
where they stream for 8 hours at a time.
I'll do that.
I'm not saying we have to stream for 8 hours, but I think we should try and do a really long stream at some point.
I'm not scared. I like the idea of the challenge.
I'll stream for 8 hours, dude. I'll do an endurance stream.
Well, we're already like quarter of the way there.
Yeah. And we're just hanging out having fun. So if I can do this for 2 hours and I still feel like I can keep going for hours, I think
because we got a lot to talk. We have a lot of different things that we experience now even. So there's a lot how long we could sit here and talk for a day. We do talk all the time. We never have enough time to get it all out. You know? So this kind is like a two-edged thing. We get to hang out and talk and share our stories and our understandings and our consciousness and awareness, and also get to help other people. How cool is that?
And we get to bring along the soul family, like that's the cool, and I think I see this, like this is what's, so we're just starting really streaming together. This is like we've done a couple before we were really into like doing this as a thing. But this is like the third one that we've done together or something like that. So we're going to continue to grow, but like, look at how comfortable we are already, but this is just going to grow, like we're going to become so much more beautiful and fun and relaxed, and like everything's just going to get,
don't worry.
Dude, I'm looking forward to having I'm looking forward to having a studio where we can get together and be live, have multiple camera angles and switch back and forth and stuff like that. Right? Oh, dude, it's going to be so cool. Don't worry,
we're almost there.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
we can manifest it. We can do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, anytime.
I'm putting it into my reality right now. Yep, there it is. And so it is.
Geraldine looks like she is looking forward to a journey.
So that sounds like something we'll talk about. I have an idea. I have an idea for us to do something with that coming up. So Geraldine, stand by. Soon we're going to have that stream. That sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I just want, we got to throw a couple things out there real quick. One is, so I've got a Patreon. Support us on Patreon. www.patreon.com/thespaceshaman. You can become my first patron because I just created this thing yesterday. So whoever wants to be my first patron, I'll be greatly appreciative. But you can help to support me in creating this conscious content and spreading healing to those who are suffering and need it. So every patron is going to, all that money that's going to come in from patron is going to go towards helping people who are in need and helping to create more freedom in this world for everyone who comes my way. And then we got your guys' website. Oh, here it is. So if you want to book a session with Tony and Mary, www.thepositivepineapple.org.
Come on over. And you can search Positive Pineapple on GoFundMe if you want to help us support what we're doing. We're all working together here. So do everything you can to try to help us. The more you help us, the more we can help the world. You can also check us out every morning at 6:45 weekdays. I'm doing something called Morning Breath, where I get on and just do a short breathwork session, talk just a little bit, not too much because I'm sleepy and it's morning time, but it's a good time.
Find us on YouTube. Find the Positive Pineapple. Subscribe.
Yeah, I think
actually in the link, if you go into the description of this video, I have the links to I have the links to Tony and Mary's YouTube channel. I have the link to their website. I have the link to everything. It's all in the description. But just throw this up here if you want to book a session with me. It's shamanswayhealing.com. And I think that's about it.
We do the Polar Plunge Saturday, Sunday. What day are we doing it?
Saturday we have the Gratitude Holistic Fair in Westlake. And then Sunday we have a healing event at Hannah's house at 1. So we could do it Sunday, but we'd have to do it early.
All right. So we're going to do Sunday 10 a.m. at Huntington. How's that?
Sounds good.
Sunday 10 a.m. at Huntington. I'll put the notification up. Anybody wants to come out and jump in the lake, do a little cold plunge with us. We go out there. We do a little bit of breath work. We go in the cold water. We come out, warm up a little bit, and take off. It's no big deal, but it's huge. It's a nice way to get introduced into cold water, and also it's very fun when people show up. Sometimes there's little groups, sometimes there's huge groups.
Yep.
But it's always a good time.
Yeah, we live streamed the last one.
Yeah, we did.
For the first like 20,
a little muffed up, but
the first 20 to 30 seconds of the video, it's just kind of frozen. You can't see anything, but then it clears up and you can kind of follow along. Like it's cool because the video gets really clear, like right as we're about to go into the water and we start like plunging and there's the snow coming down and everything.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was really fun.
Yeah.
But I want to start bringing the camera along, and like I didn't want to bring it that day because it was snowing and stuff, and I just don't know how the camera, because I have look at this. I've got like a 4K legitimate camera dealio here, and so we're gonna start. My intention is to start bringing you guys along on some of these cool adventures that we go on, and just us get comfortable having a camera around and just like filming our experience, like forgetting the camera's even there, just like it's a second nature the camera's like the Misha, kind of comes everywhere with us, and we
Yep.
just follow along with what we do.
Yeah, I already saw us being on like some sort, just like a reality show. So I already
Yeah.
saw that coming. I
Yeah.
think that we would make a fantastic reality show, even if it's through YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
We have lots of fun.
YouTube is the new platform, man. Like
is, isn't it?
TV movies are they're slowly dying.
I don't
YouTube
watch
is growing.
TV movies, so I guess that's true.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
hopped on YouTube years ago, and that's been that.
I've watched YouTube for about 6-7 years,
Yeah.
like pretty
Yeah.
much.
I watch a lot more YouTube than I do TV.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't watch any TV. That's how much I like YouTube. But I don't watch a lot of YouTube either. I'm pretty busy with everything going on. There's days where like that's just a whole. I won't even get into that. That's about time management.
Yeah, you guys
So,
got 6 minutes.
I gotta go to school, Casey. Casey,
Yeah.
you're good influence, man. You can't keep me. I'm late for school.
Dude, I don't want you to be late for school, man, but like I had a lot of fun today, so I just want to say I love you guys so much.
Yeah.
I love you all so much.
I love
I just
all
want
of
you guys to stay forever. I don't want you guys to
All
go
of y'all.
anywhere. Can we just stay here for like 10 more minutes, man? Just 10 more minutes.
Nike. Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the notification bell. Hit all notifications on so you get notified when we go live next, which I'll be going live tomorrow. Hopefully, if Tony and Mary want
Be
to
at
join.
6:45. I'll be right live at 6:45. Yeah.
Yeah. So do all the subscribing, all the liking, all the sharing, all the good things you guys know how to do at this point. I love you guys so much. Thank you all for being here, for commenting. Let's create the most magical world that we can possibly imagine, and even more together.
Let's go.
Yes.
Thank you. I love you.